All right, so we're back at the Yamaha Superbike Challenge of New Jersey, the final round of the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship for 2016, and the final race, Supersport Superstock 600. If you're watching for the first time, it is pretty simple. The motorcycles are very close, identically in terms of they're an R6, but they're modified differently, and we'll tell you how that looks. But coming up is that race. Down to Christy, who is sitting on the grid right now with our pole sitter.
JD Beach defending the championship. Strong end of the season for you. 6 wins in a row after a 7th win for you yesterday. What is key for you in this race to defend that #1 plate?
Yeah, for me, you know what? It's the last race of the year, and Garrett pretty much has this in the bag if he doesn't mess up. I mean, he rode a great year this year, and I'm just going to go out and do what I've been doing and try and put in some good laps at the start and break away. I mean, the only choice I got is to try and win the race and hope that he gets third, which is it's gonna be tough to even win the race, but that's what I'm here to do, is win, and we'll see what happens.
JD, good luck.
All right, so that's it. JD summed it up, Jason. All he can do is win, and the rest of it's going to go on behind him.
That's the thing, you know, right now he knows for a fact that Garrett has it pretty easy right now. Garrett right now, all he's got to do is finish second because of that gap. You know, the thing is, Greg, can any of these other guys step up? I think with a little bit cooler weather, that the guys behind might be able to find a little bit of pace. I watched practice this morning, and there was some guys that had stepped up and gone a little bit quicker. But let's see what Garrett's thoughts are right now, Christy.
Garrett, the season's been about consistency for you, and we haven't heard you talk much about the championship until recently. Now, what's going through your head? We all know the numbers, we know the statistics, but what's on your mind right now?
Nothing. I'm ready to have some fun on my Yamaha R6, and you know, either way, it's going to go one way or the other, and I really just can't thank my team enough for all the hard work they've done and put into me through the years, and I just want to have fun, man. I'm excited.
Best of luck, number 31, Garrett Gerloff.
One of the things he kept talking about to us this morning is he just wants to have fun. He hasn't, even when we were talking to him about different scenarios, he's like, I don't even want to think about them. I want to go out there and enjoy myself, have a little bit of fun, and that's what he kept talking about. But he did say, you know, if I'm there at the end, maybe I'll take a little nibble at trying to win it also, because that's how you'd like to win a championship.
Now, one rider that had a shot of possibly putting himself in between these two Yamahas and having something to do with this championship is South African Cam Peterson, but it ended in a bit of a disaster yesterday. He's with Christy Lee.
Cameron, rough day yesterday, but you did take your first career race win here in New Jersey back in April and May earlier in this season, and this is your first time sitting on the front row at the start of the race.
Yeah, you know, we had a tough one yesterday. But New Jersey's been good to me in the past, so yeah, I'm just going to put yesterday behind me. You know, we made some changes from this morning to the race, so yeah, just last race this season, going to go out there, have fun, put my head down, and hopefully have a good race with the guys up front. You know, I know they've got a championship to settle, so yeah, it should be interesting, and yeah, let's go racing.
Best of luck to Cam Peterson, number 45.
Cam Peterson, that M4 Sport by TrackGear.com Suzuki. He knows there's a championship. He's not going to knock anyone down, but he's got one goal in mind, especially last race of the season. He just wants to win.
I think as a rider, you respect the guys that are going for a championship. You don't want to get in their way, and you don't want to be the guy that destroys a championship by taking one of those guys out. That said, if these two guys are racing hard at the front, they're slowing each other up, and Valentino and Cameron or Benny Solis or any of those leading guys can stick their nose in there, they're going to do it. There's nothing guaranteed for any of them for next year, so they want to put their best foot forward. And you know, I think that we've gone through all the scenarios and we know who the major players are and how things are going to play out a little bit, but those guys, those 3 or 4 guys behind these two are hungry for a win also.
YS Graves Yamaha already has this championship in the bag, but who is going to win it? This rider right here who leads the championship or his teammate? We're going to find out really soon. We have one more break for you, and then we're back to New Jersey. If you think Garrett Gerloff is all calm, cool, and collected right now, I would challenge you on that one. I'm sure Jason Pridmore that He's sitting right in the middle of the grid. He's got a nice clear shot into turn number 1, and this is going to be his last race of 2016 like everyone else in this field. And he's sitting on a slim 9-point margin over his teammate J.D. Beach, who Garrett knows will do anything he can to win.
No question. In the beginning of the year, it was Garrett Gerloff. Every single race, he was just winning. He was winning by big margins. He was making it look easy. You look at our starting grid here. Beach, Gerloff, Cameron Peterson. We got to hear from all 3 of those guys. Valentine DeBees, we haven't talked much about this weekend, as we haven't Joe Roberts either. Benny Solis out there on the second row, outside second row. Bryce Prince, Richie Escalante, Dakota Momola, the first 3 Superstock bikes that we see. Obviously, Bryce Prince has already been crowned champion. Escalante won yesterday. McFadden, Wyman, and Selby on row 4. Connor Blevins, Michael Gilbert, JC Camacho, Dion Campbell, Xavier Zayat, good to see him back, and Andy DeBrino round out row 6.
So many amazing battles going on at on the racetrack. And of course, as we get through this back end of the field, you'll notice that Ezra Bobier, who was in yesterday's race, he was involved in a last chance qualifying race. They happen on Saturday and Sunday. So some of the riders that get to compete today on this back half didn't necessarily compete yesterday. So a good opportunity for these riders. If they don't qualify on time, they get a last chance qualifier, and the top 5 transfer into this race.
And it's fun watching that race. I've said it all year long that I really think that what MotoAmerica did there by the last chance qualifier added another little element of surprise and excitement to the series. It's really neat too when you see somebody who's never qualified before qualify for one of those races. I sat down in turn 1 today and watched the races, and a couple of the guys that qualified, you could tell they were really pumped to do it. It's an accomplishment, you know, to be able to try to qualify for one of these races.
Jason Pridmore's keys to the race. Jason, Beach, Gerloff, same as yesterday.
Well, let's see how that plays out. I said yesterday that I felt like Garrett Gerloff's going to have a lot of confidence, only because he knows the gap that he had between him and 3rd place. If he doesn't feel like he can take it to JD and win this race, if he can pull away and ride his own pace, he's going to be crowned champ. Who can help JD Beach? Well, this morning, one rider who I paid attention to a little bit was 3rd, was Benny Solis. Benny Solis made some big changes yesterday to his motorcycle because, believe it or not, Greg, they felt they had too much grip. They had actually too much grip in the front, was causing some chatter. They made some changes to that bike this morning. He went out and went as quick as he had gone in qualifying. And the last thing, 600 Superstock battle. I always like to give these guys a little bit of love because we don't get to see the 600 Superstock battle as much as we would like, even though those guys are racing very, very close. Bryce Prince, Richie Escalante. Who is going to come and show those 2 guys that they're going to take over? There's a lot of these kids in Superstock that are going to be jumping up next year into the Supersport class. Who's going to be our guy next year that we're going to have to pay attention? Who's going to be the next Bryce Prince or Richie Escalante?
Race is inside the race. You can see right there that white number plate with that blue number 1. That indicates that it's a Supersport machine with red backing on the number plate and yellow numbers. That indicates a Superstock 1000 machine, which we got to see, of course, yesterday. Richie Escalante was racing up against Benny Solis, so that was a Supersport against the Superstock 600 machine. So times are tense right now. You can see Garrett Gerloff's posture. He's just ready to go. Let's just get this thing underway.
Yeah, let's do it.
So middle part of your screen, number 1, JD Beach got a good launch yesterday. As the lights go on, when they go off, it's clutches out. JD with another good launch.
All the front row. Yeah. All the front row got a great start, Greg. All 3 of those guys, and it looks like JD's, it's a recap of yesterday. It's JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff, and Cameron Peterson as they run off from Valentine DeBees. Benny Solis is right there also. I see Benny slotting into that 4th place spot.
Valentine DeBees tried to make a move early on Cam Peterson right there. Went wide, so he'll stay in 4th spot. So it's JD on the 1, 31 is Gerloff, and right behind him, 45 is Cam Peterson. So here we go.
And you had a little chat with JD this morning, didn't you? Because we were talking about how his lap times were a little slower than we thought that they were going to be. What would you get out of that?
All right, so basically what JD was talking about was having the rear tire spin. So late on in the race, especially with the heat of yesterday, tires got really greasy. Now JD is a dirt tracker. He likes to slide the bike around, but when it's greasy, you just don't have the feel that you want. But one thing that's key for JD is when he gets onto the straightaway, Jason, and you'll take a close look at it. JD, once he gets the apex to the last, and a rider
Connor Blevins. Connor's off in
on Kawasaki, the 33 rider. Off the racetrack, he'll blend back in. Nice jump there.
He'll jump back on, so we'll see how far back Connor can come. He finished 5th in Superstock yesterday, so you can see he's blending right back in nice and gentle with everybody else here. Sometimes when you get out there in the grass, you got to make sure them tires are a little bit cleaned off. So
looks like he'll be probably 3rd from last on this one as JD starting to get a bit of a gap already on Garrett Gerloff. And now Valentine DeBees moves up into 3rd place as Cam Peterson looks like he's going to fall victim to Benny Solis. We'll have to see how that played out. There's now a little bit of gap between 1, 2, 3, and nope, Peterson holds on.
This is what we saw yesterday, though, isn't it? We saw these two guys, and they're already starting to break apart. How about a 24.8 from a standing still? That from a standing start, rather. That's a very fast lap for both these guys. 24.8, 25.1, and now Valentino is going to take up the charge, try to run these two guys down.
So to finish what I was saying earlier about JD Beach, coming through the last corner, once he gets to the apex, he opens the throttle up to maximum setting. So he just whacks the thing open. The rear tire spins, and that allows him to get a better turning radius and good drive onto the front straightaway. Garrett Gerloff and his crew weren't able to do that. JD knew after Garrett passed him yesterday that he had him covered in the last corner. So Garrett's team, they really focused on that, and JD said, that's fine. If he gets it dialed in, I'll deal with it then. But it's going to be very interesting to see how Gerloff and his team were able to handle that last corner, which of course, Jay, is the most important drag race we have here on this racetrack.
No question. And if you can make a bike do what JD likes to do. Oh man, JD just lost the front there. I don't know if anybody saw that. I saw it. JD just lost the front big time in that last turn that you're talking about, Greg. But that was very, very close. Great camera work by our guys. But for sure, the thing is there is that if Garrett can just stay close enough, we're going to know very soon here if the changes they made on that bike were made a difference.
The other changes that JD were talking about, Jason, is once the bike did start to lose some grip, it uncovered chatter, front-end chatter of that motorcycle. So it's going to be really interesting to see as the tires wear. It's much cooler today, somewhere around 9 degrees cooler ambient temperature. The sun is poking through the clouds, and so that's heating up that track surface. Not quite as extreme temps as we had, but it's working for him.
Agreed. Now we look back a little bit further. Benny Solis moves into 4th place. We said earlier that they may have made some positive changes on that bike this morning, and it looked pretty good. Now, I'm watching JD's body language. I'm going to be very interested to see what this lap time is. Last time through, on their first flying lap, 22.3 to 22.0 by Garrett Gerloff. I want to see if JD's lost any confidence in that front tire. I know I saw that thing tuck on him in a bad spot, that last turn. Look at it. So
there it goes again.
I don't know what kind of changes they've made on JD's bike, and I know he's pushing hard, but I'm seeing that bike right now tuck underneath him quite a bit. Garrett's got to just keep pressuring him, put the pressure on. These guys are long gone already from 3rd place.
If you're Garrett Gerloff and you're seeing this happen on lap 3, you got to be smiling right now. He knows that his teammate's in a spot of bother.
Yeah, we've lost Valentino to Bees on this lap. I'm watching him go down the front straightaway, Greg, looking at something. So that's going to promote Benny Solis up to 3rd, Cameron Peterson 4th. We'll have to keep watching what Valentino's doing. That last lap was almost a half a second slower than the lap that these guys ran previously. Now, generally, Greg, at the beginning of laps, they ramp up the pace. We usually show our fastest laps on the 3rd and 4th laps of these races. For him to drop off that much, he's already had a couple big moments with that front tire, and I'm sure JD's wheels are spinning right now in his brain of what's going on here. I don't quite have the feel. So right there, that's just breaking a little bit loose at full lean angle. That was the second one that we saw. The first one that I saw was on the opening lap going up underneath. So I want you to pay attention here. As he leans this bike in, I could swear I thought I saw first bike in the frame there. There goes the rear, there goes the front. Did you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big eye-opener for you.
So JD Beach, he's without question one of the most talented riders in this field. He loves racing more than anything in the world. He loves to do dirt track racing. I asked him 2 months off, did he go dirt track racing? Absolutely not. He made a commitment to himself that he wouldn't try to mix disciplines. He did practice. He did ride and train on a dirt track motorcycle. And JD likes when it's moving around. He likes when it's loose. But you know what? Even JD can't control the amount of traction that's available at every corner.
And Garrett's bike is still running wide on the exit. Looking at the lap times right now, 22.6, 22.9. We saw 22 lows for the majority of the first 5-6 laps yesterday. That's what allowed these guys to break away. Looking at 23.1 for Benny Solis, 23.1 for Cam Peterson. So 22.9 that last time for Garrett Gerloff. He only pulled 3/10 on Benny and Bryce. So I'm sorry, on Benny and Cameron. So Garrett's falling back right now. Maybe he's feeling something too, because I really thought that he was going to be able to continue to put the pressure on JD, or he's just gone into championship mode a little bit early here, knowing that he's pulling away from those guys behind him.
I mean, that really comes down to it, Jason. I think if you really look at it, if you're the 31 of Garrett Gerloff and you're looking at JD Beach and you're seeing JD go as hog wild as he is, he keeps losing the front, feet keep coming off the pegs, you got to think to yourself, just let him do it. Benny Solis in 3rd place over Cam Peterson right now. Benny Solis, of course, had a 3rd place finish. Speck, and Miller. Round number 7, race number 1. So we know that the Honda CBR 600RR of Benny Solis.
And Gabby Toys come on this weekend. It's a sponsor of Benny's. They've bumped up their sponsorship to even help that team even more. And this kid, I'll tell you right now, Greg, he will not leave the racetrack until he feels like the bike is somewhere where it needs to be. And I know his dad, Benny, and Marco from Italy have been working extremely hard on trying to keep this Honda competitive. And right now, Benny feels like he should be able to run with the Suzukis. And that's what he's doing right now with Cam Peterson, as Cam's going to try to pull up alongside of him as they come down the front straightaway. As we look at Bryce Prince just off in the background, our super stock leader. Does Cameron have enough to get underneath him? He certainly does.
So there goes an M4 SportBikeTrackGear.com Suzuki out front of the H35 machine of Benny Solis. And Solis is not going to take that lane down. Jason Benny always working on his racecraft. Rumor has it he went overseas and spent some time with MotoGP star Jorge Lorenzo.
He's done a lot with Jorge over there. He spent, I think he spent the better part of a month over there last year with him, did a lot of work with him. This kid is so dedicated. He's in the gym every day. He's doing probably, I would say that Benny's probably one of the best shaped athletes we have without question in the paddock. So he's very dedicated to his craft, and his dad is just as much. His dad is continuously working to try to get every little advantage they can out of this Honda CBR 600. As we both know, Honda's announced that they're not going to be bringing this bike back in next year. This team, though, might want to do one more year on this bike because of all the development they put into it. And right now, he's looking very good, hanging on to the back of Cameron Peterson for that podium position.
The iconic CBR 600RR machine not coming back production-wise. In Europe, new European specs. They basically say, look, we just don't have the resources to redesign this motorcycle, have no desire to redesign this motorcycle to meet the new European emission specs. So the CBR 600RR will be discontinued for sure. But Benny Solis continues to show what an amazing platform that is. Back up front with JD Beach, YES Graves Yamaha. Now JD looks a little bit more comfortable, Jason, with 7 laps in the books at this point. He's got to say that he's looking at his pit board and they're giving him a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, for sure. And Garrett's doing the same. Garrett's seen his teammate get away and thinking, okay, you know what? JD's highly motivated. I put in a lot of work at the beginning of this year to build this championship. I'm not going to do something silly and throw it down the road trying to gain something back. So that said, Garrett's got looks like he's got about 4.2 second lead over Cameron and Benny. So right now, this is kind of the race that we expected. To be honest, I kind of expected to see what we're seeing right now. Garrett has got that lead. He can run his own race.
In motorcycle road racing, the most important thing that you can have on your motorcycle is good rubber underneath you. But of course, there's always fine-tuning that rubber. Christy, let's talk about Dunlop tires. What you got?
Just spoke with the rep from Dunlop. They have the same tire setup as yesterday. That's JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff with the medium front and that soft rear. Dunlop said that JD didn't even make any pressure changes in that bike, so just having a little trouble out there right now, guys.
There
sometimes, you know, and it's funny because if you go out from one tire to the next, you can go out on one day on a tire and it takes two laps to really feel good. You might go out another day, it might take 3 laps to really feel good. The thing is, yesterday we had a lot more heat in the track, and yesterday something just connected with JD. Today, just at those beginning laps, but he's got comfortably back down to 22.4 as we see Benny having a look underneath Cameron Peterson.
Oh, that was close.
Bryce Prince is just not that far behind these two guys. He might give these guys a little battle for the podium himself on that Superstock bike.
What a difference today makes for Benny Solis. He qualified in 6th spot. Had a good race here. It is the run down the straightaway into turn number 1. 35 is Benny Solis. That's a Honda versus a Suzuki, and Benny tried to have a nice clean look underneath. But Cam Peterson on that M4 SportBikeTrackGear.com Suzuki continues to hold on for 3rd. And I can tell you, talking to Cam Peterson, his father, who's been in racing a long time, Robbie, Jason, you've known him for a long time. He wasn't able to come back into the United States just because of a clerical error with his visa entry, but there's more going on behind the scenes, and Cam Peterson is fired up. He really, from a personal standpoint, wants to stand on the podium for his dad and all the things that he's going through right now. Extremely tight, father and son.
Absolutely, and Robbie is one of the best guys you'll ever meet in the paddock. Extremely successful road racer in his own mind. You'd never know it meeting him. As we look at Bryce Prince, yesterday we saw Richie Escalante dominate the Superstock class. Not sure what was going on with Bryce yesterday, but today he's definitely 22.9 for Bryce Prince on a 600 Superstock bike.
Wow.
Folks. That's incredible. This kid next year, not sure where he's going. I'm hearing rumors 1,000 Superstock, and he's a big kid. That's going to be a good class for him. As we look, Benny
There goes
lining
Benny.
him back up, lining Cameron Peterson back up as they go into turn number 1.
So Benny Solis deep into turn one will take over that third place spot. What a battle we have going on between a Honda and a Suzuki. Team H35, Benny Solis out of Hollywood, California. All he thinks about is motorcycle racing. Little bit of a miscue there as Cam Peterson tries up the inside. A little wheelie out of Peterson's going to slow him down a little bit. So Peterson, his first front row start in the United States, as Christy mentioned earlier. And he had high hopes this weekend, Jason. Cam Peterson really thought that he could run the pace of the Yamahas up front. On Friday afternoon when we were talking, he thought, yeah, listen, I might be able to put myself in the middle of this championship, you know, and have a go and possibly win this race. But it hasn't quite panned out for him just yet. But this is a rider right here. Rider Discount Tuned Racing's Bryce Prince being so close on a Superstock 600 machine. And look, there's a reason why Prince was able to wrap up the Superstock 600 championship. Absolutely rips on that motorcycle and a great team behind him.
Yeah, no question. He's got a great team behind him. And it seems like Mike Pond and him have put together such a great program. Oop. You can see Cameron's almost running up the back of Benny in that last corner. And that could just be something simple where his bike just feels a little bit better. But Mike Pond and Bryce Prince have put together a great team down there. And it just seems like every weekend they look better, too. Every team, the team just looks more and more professional as they go on. And they're getting some great race results. So hopefully they can continue to just keep getting more sponsorship and keep building that team the way they have.
So we're looking at the battle right now for third. 35 is Benny Solis, 45 Cam Peterson. We saw Bryce Prince in the mix, and off in the distance on that battle is Valentine DeBees and Richie Escalante. So Valentine, who's obviously stood on the podium on a race before, he's back there. He's still circulating, but he definitely had something go wrong at the beginning of this race. And now he's battling back with yesterday's Superstock 600 winner, Richie Escalante. So also in the mix is Travis Wyman back in 8th, Dakota Momola in 9th, and Rigo Salazar rounding out your top 10, and all those riders on the Superstock 600. So right now the podium would go to Travis Wyman on Superstock 600 as he's locked in a bit of a battle with Dakota Momola.
Yep, that's exactly right, Greg. And Dakota's always been there all year long. He's been on the podium regular. Travis Wyman also. These are some of the kids we might see move up next year, and it'll be fun to watch some of them on Supersport bikes battling up with the likes of JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff, depending on the teams and things that they decide to do or the programs they put together.
You know, Bryce Prince, earlier on in the season, he and I had a chance to talk about racing a Superstock 600 machine against Supersport machines, and I said, you know, you get really close to these motorcycles. Do you care about that? And he said, no, I don't. All I'm concerned about is racing that Superstock 600 and winning. But since he already wrapped up the championship, all he wants to do is try to beat a couple of Supersport machines.
Yeah, it's a nice way for him to round out the year with that podium of the Supersport bikes just looking right in front of him. You can see Valentine DeBees here. He's got a problem, Greg. There's definitely something has happened with Valentine in this race. Not sure what it is. Saw him looking down kind of early, but yeah, not exactly sure what happened there with him.
So Valentine DeBees last go around did a 124 flat. Bryce Prince and Cam Peterson and Benny Solis were just a couple tenths of a second off of that. So Valentine has pace. Unfortunately for Valentine, he has third place pace right now.
Yep.
As the Yamahas are going 22.8, Garrett Gerloff 23.2. So Valentine has that pace. It'll be interesting to see after this is all said and done what happened to the Frenchman who's over here riding on that M4 Sport Bike Track Gear.com team. All right, back up front to the YES Grades Yamaha of JD Beach, who said, all I got to do is win races.
That's all he's doing. And, you know, the thing is that he's going to take, it's a hard pill to swallow. You know, when you win the race and you dominate the way he did at the end of the year, I'm sure there's a lot of races he can look back on at the beginning of the year and just wish that they would have found a little bit set up a little bit sooner. But that's kind of the way racing goes sometimes. And his teammate was so dominant at the beginning of the year. But JD, you know, we made mention of it many times this year. He rode like a true vet. Like when he didn't have a bike underneath him to win, he took those thirds and fourths and took those points. He wouldn't be in the position he was in now had he tried to chase Garrett at the beginning of the year and crashed and not scored any points. So you got to take your hats off to JD. He's done everything he can to claw his way back into this last 7 races for sure.
It was round number 4, VIR race number 1, where he decided to gamble on a tire choice. He finished 14th. That's 2 points. When this thing is said and done, you can see the difference is going to be a minor 4 points. Now I can go back there, and Jason, and for JD Beach, it started off second, then 2 thirds, then a first. He won. Then third, then that 14th, then third, second, third, then blammo, he's run the tables. any one of those thirds into a second place position, you know how many points that is? That's 4 points. We'd be tied in this championship. Of course, Garrett would have played it differently had it been that close. But we would be tied in the championship, and the nod would go to JD Beach, because if JD can hold on and win this one, he'll have 8 wins on the season versus Gerloff's 6. Kind of reminds you a little bit of what happened in the Superbike Championship between Hayes and Cameron Beaubier. Hayes won more races, but Beaubier, who won races, was more consistent.
That's exactly right. And you know, the thing is what you don't know by watching this Garrett Gerloff right now, by watching him, what you don't know is it's really hard to race the way he's racing right now. With this many laps left, and you're just kind of rolling around. Look at that. I mean, you can see he's still getting out of shape. He's still pushing, but, you know, they're doing 23s now, kind of mid-23s for Garrett. He's got a big enough gap, but it's so easy to lose concentration. You just think about all the things that you've worked hard for to try to get yourself into this position. And then you start thinking, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to screw up. You start listening to what your bike's doing. You just get a little bit more sensitive to everything that's going on around you. And it's hard to be in that position. Sometimes you'd rather race for it. This battle is just continuing. Outside of our window, I saw these guys side by side just now when we were looking on screen at Garrett Gerloff. These guys are just battling back and forth.
So Cam Peterson in third spot again over Benny Solis. You can see the difference in those motorcycles, that white and blue Suzuki versus that red and white Honda. There is another Honda in the field, but in terms of Supersport, this is the only Honda in Supersport trim. And I said it before, American Honda definitely has taken notice. They know who Benny Solis is, and they're definitely cheering on.
Well, they've definitely supported the team. You know, American Honda has helped these guys out a little bit, and they realize that the kind of program that Benny and his dad are running is a very professional program. They work really hard to try to portray the best image they can. As you can see, Benny's pulled up alongside again, can't quite do anything with him. All the while, Bryce Prince just sitting there going, I want to get up to these guys. And you can see Valentine DeBees is just behind him. He still wants to claw himself back into this too, and then behind them, Richie Escalante. So there's 3 or 4 of these guys that are all pretty close together still. We could see a big battle here in a minute, but these two guys here are just battling amongst themselves.
Valentine DeBees, the 3rd fastest rider on course that last go around. Only JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff went faster, and only JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff were in the 23. So 23.3 for Beach, 23.5 for Gerloff, and back there in 6th, a 23.9 for Valentine DeBees. So DeBees is still pushing. He sees Bryce Prince up there, and he's still going for that podium. But I mean, even with 9 laps to go, you could say time is running out for Valentine. He's really got to start finding bigger chunks of time at this point, or else he's going to be stuck in that 6th spot.
And what he's got to do, Greg, is hope that these guys kind of get into a battle. And you know, Bryce, the good thing about Bryce, he's already won the championship for Superstock, so he's got nothing to lose. He gets up there with these 2 guys, he's just going to want to hammer on them and battle with them. It's not going to matter to him where he finishes, what he does. Sure, he'd like to end with a win, but you know, the thing is that he's going to want to get up there and hammer on them. Let's see if Benny Solis now can come onto this front straightaway and do anything with that Suzuki. The bikes look pretty evenly matched, and we talk a lot about these 2 bikes, the Honda and the Suzuki, the way they accelerate. They've got some very similar characteristics, and you see Benny going to try to go underneath Cameron. He certainly does.
Love it. So Benny Solis going up the inside of Cam Peterson. You could see that pass started all the way back in turn number 12 as Benny Solis was trying to set him up for the drive. When they came out of turn number 12, Peterson's momentum was carrying him towards the inside. I thought Benny might have to roll out of it a little bit, but he held his line and now takes over the position. But all the while, that battling has allowed the 74 of Bryce Prince to catch him ever so slightly, as Prince could be in contention for a Supersport Superstock 600 overall podium. That would be something special to see that.
Well, I don't think we've seen that this year. I don't believe. And you'd have to check me on that, Greg. I know you're the stat guy, but I don't believe we've seen a Superstock guy finish top 3 overall. And these guys now are starting to get into some traffic, starting to see some back markers and stuff up ahead of these 2 guys here. So that's going to play a big role too. You know, that just to keep everybody kind of what's going on up front still. JD Beach with a 4.7 seconds lead. This battle that we're watching for 3rd right now is further 10 seconds behind Garrett Gerloff. And you see Benny gets by this back marker in a very good spot for him. That's going to hold Cameron up just a little bit, and it's really going to mess Bryce Prince up. That really messed Bryce up. That is probably the worst place that you could catch somebody. And if you watch, Greg, you're going to see Valentine's going to have probably caught up to Bryce a lot that lap. If I look at the times, 25.0 to Valentine's 23.9, that's how much that slowed him up there, because Bryce has been running the same pace as these 2 here.
So we're looking at Number 35, Benny Solis right there. Number 45 is Cam Peterson. And what we were talking about is just back in that frame. You can see the 74. He'll dart in from time to time. And that is Bryce Prince and Valentine DeBees, the 53 machine just behind. So they get through lap traffic cleanly as we continue to watch this great battle go on for third spot. JD Beach now with a 5.7 second advantage over Garrett Gerloff in this race, as our eyes are all focused on third place. What does Cam Peterson have to do now? He's seen Benny Solis. He knows what Benny has. The real question for Cam Peterson is, Jay, we're at that window now, 16 of 23 in, where the tires are going to start giving up just a little bit.
Couldn't agree more. And now, Benny talked to me. I was in his debrief yesterday. That bike has so much grip. Have you ever heard a rider complaining about too much grip?
Not really.
So his dad said, hey, I think I know what the problem is, but they have a little bit of a chatter. The guy, the Italian friend of theirs, Marco, who they've brought in this year, who's really helped them become successful. Incredible with the data. We were looking over some things, and they said, you know, it just looks like we have too much front grip, and that's what's causing the chatter. So, softer spring. We did a couple other little things in the front of that bike, but he's got so much rear grip, Greg, that he can drive it off anywhere, so it's causing the front to cause some chatter. This morning he went out, he says, I got to push him to start. Now Cameron's going to get this guy in the perfect spot. Let's see if Benny's able to do anything with him. Look at that. See, that's what happens when you get guys in the wrong spot.
Man. So Solis,
yeah, and what that does, you know, Cameron got the worst of it last time. Now Benny got the worst of it this time. Now we're catching up to Mark Rhodes here. Cameron probably will try to sneak underneath Mark as they head into turn 6 here.
But a good move by Cam Peterson.
Yes.
He knew lap traffic was coming, and he knew he had to get around Benny Solis. As Peterson takes a look over, so he's looking for Benny Solis. He's like, where did he go?
Yep, and Mark did a great job there. He saw Cameron coming by, and Benny was able to kind of get closed back up, so that's a good thing.
Did Benny Solis use Mark Rhodes as a little bit of a smoke screen? As Cam Peterson looking around, he doesn't see the rider who's in 4th place right now, and there's a lot of traffic around. So we'll see if Cam Peterson's able to keep his eyes going forward at this point. Valentine DeBees, of course, with a lot of that FIM World Endurance experience, working his way through traffic. As we reset with the #1 plate of JD Beach, who has this race well in command right now. I mean, can you imagine 8 race wins to end the season, and JD Beach is going to lose this championship? Boy, I can start to see, though, a little bit of chatter in the front end of that motorcycle, really violent, kind of edgy over the bumps in some of these corners, where these sharp little bumps have started to creep up here at New Jersey Motorsport.
It'll be interesting if JD holds on here. I don't want to give him the old announcer curse, but I'd be very interested to hear what Christie might ask him about maybe the beginning of the race and some of the front end feel that he had or didn't have compared to even yesterday, or if the track conditions were a little bit different. But right now, Greg, what you're seeing is a guy who's just kind of cruising out front. Same with Garrett.
You know what, Jason? The funny thing is that we focus always on the rider themselves, right? What does Garrett Gerloff have to do to win this championship? What's he feeling? But I guarantee you, if you go back to that YES Graves Yamaha pit, even Chuck Graves, who is the owner of that team, you're not going to tell me that the person who builds the motors or the mechanic who tightens all the bolts on this chassis and gets this motorcycle going, that entire team, that they're not just going, oh, hold on right now. There's got to be butterflies in their stomach as well. A lot of anxiety is, look at Garrett Gerloff. He is not scared to muscle that R6 around.
Nope, and that's just the S's. And Greg, that is simply, could be something as simple as when you see the lap times he's doing, yes, he's pushing, but if you're rolling on the throttle even in a different spot than what you're normally doing, you're changing the complexion of what the chassis actually does. So where he's actually in the throttle in the middle of his S's, maybe when he's going faster, it's a little further back. Now we got a battle for Valentine DeBees has caught both of these guys.
Wow, number 53 Valentine DeBees has caught the battle for 3rd place, and he takes over. So it was Cam Peterson and Benito Solis going at it, and ladies and gentlemen, 3rd place in points, Valentine DeBees, just like that, caught him and passed it.
And you've got to think, he's still running 23s as Valentine. He's running an amazing pace. The 2 guys in front of him that time, Greg, 25-1, 25-1. Traffic must have played a big key. You can see there's 2 guys back there. You saw what happened to Bryce Prince. Now, Cam Peterson is trying to go with his teammate. Let's see if Benny can hang on to the back of them.
The wake-up call for Cam Peterson right now as his teammate starts to push the issue. Both of these riders with wins under their belts on the season. Last time Valentine DeBees won, Road Atlanta race #2. But right now, it's all about the podium. So Valentine, who caught these two riders in a hurry, they're not letting them go anywhere. We'll see how it looks coming onto the front straightaway. See if anyone has any type of issue. Hey, look, 20 laps in the books right now. This is going to be the test.
Now Benny's got a double draft in front of him, too, so you wouldn't be surprised. Benny was a little late on his turn-in point in that right-hander there.
You can't see, though,
yeah, it's very, very difficult to see. But if Cameron pulls out of Valentine's draft, it's going to double draft that Honda right behind them both.
Here comes the 35 in the middle. There goes Cam Peterson. He can't get it done. Valentine deep into turn number 1. He'll hold the position. So now, all of a sudden, for Benny Solis, he's got to start figuring out, how do I see my line? Because with two riders blocking the line, especially the last section of this racetrack, it gets very difficult. I was talking to Garrett Gerloff about that. Woo!
Wow,
Valentine moving around.
Well, he's come from a ways back too, Greg. Not to interrupt, he's come from a ways back too, so it could be wearing out that rear tire even more. But these other two guys, hey, they said, hey, we're fighting for this third place. Where'd this guy come from?
M4 Sportbike TrackGear.com Suzuki teammates. Number 53, Valentine DeBees. Number 45, Cam Peterson, in a battle for the final spot on the podium. Many thought at the beginning of this weekend that these two riders would have an influence on the outcome of the national championship. Valentine DeBees was really in the mix of the championship early on in the season. A bit of a surprise for a lot of people as he came to many of these racetracks for the first time. This is Cam Peterson's second season here, and we heard from Chrissy that this was the place where he won his very first race in MotoAmerica competition. But now it's all about that final step on the podium. Who is going to be at least moderately satisfied with their performance heading into the long off season?
Benny has a good run there. Benny's got a really good run coming out of that last corner. He was just far enough back. Is he going to try to do something with Cam as they head into turn 1?
Oh, man, that was
enough.
Close. Cam Peterson there, the second rider in the screen. Wasn't really thinking about Benny Solis. He was just thinking about his teammate Valentine DeBees. So maybe that was a dress rehearsal for this final lap for Benny Solis. I think at this point, Jason, though, with the way, and it looks like Cam Peterson, a little bit of a mistake there.
It's twice in that same section that I've seen Cam's bike just get a little out of shape on him. So, you know, we'll watch that. And that little gap, when it creates, it's so hard to do something with it once that little gap creates.
Especially when you're making little tiny mistakes like that. If Benny Solis has anything left, he's got to get around Cam Peterson, though, and close that gap.
That's right.
Or else this podium position is going to be handed to the rider. Handed to the rider. What a run. That is such a... He clawed his way back into contention for this podium. It's going to be interesting to see if Valentine DeBees can stay on this. Okay, and get on the box. What his race was like, because it looked like for a while he was out of it.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. He's come from a long way back. Very first lap of the race, the poor guy was looking down at his bike and was watching bikes go by him hand over hand. And for him to keep fighting the way he fought, it's a great job for Valentine.
So here we go, the penultimate lap of the Supersport Superstock 600 National Championship. This is it for 2016 for MotoAmerica. And number 31, Garrett Gerloff doing the business.
Look at all the traffic that all three of these guys, and they're going to get him in the worst spot possible. When you come up over the top of this hill, you come into this little chicane, and it's going to be interesting. Look at Valentine. He's going to go by both of them. That is the race. That's the race for third. Those other two guys now are stuck. It's going to be impossible for them to do anything with Valentine now. That little gap that you see, now they're going to get back markers in the next worst spot going into 6. Cameron should be able to get by, as should Benny, but let's see what happens.
Cam Peterson, no, he is definitely, that's such a tight section of track, and how much do you risk to get around that rider? And this is all part of this racing. So Valentine DeBees, what a brilliant move to get through traffic and separate himself from the contenders for the podium.
Look at Benny. He's trying to go up the inside of Cam as they head up here into turn 9. But these guys are going to have to, they don't even have enough time to work together, to be honest with you. They don't have enough time to work together to try to get something to try to catch back up to Valentine.
White flag is out on this one as we continue to watch the battle now for 4th and 5th. There's Valentine DeBees in 3rd. 4th place right now, Cam Peterson. 5th, Benny Solis. They'll come onto the front straightaway and take that already waving checkered flag. And now Solis with a good drive, trying to get around Cam Peterson. Here they go down in turn 1. Solis up the inside.
There he goes.
Sends it sideways. So now Benny Solis with a big move. Can he hold it tight? Peterson applying the gas. The rear wheel spinning. So Solis has that. There goes the 53 of Valentine DeBees.
That was Benny's only real hope of trying to catch, is if he could have, Valentine would have just got caught in any kind of traffic. But these guys have had a great battle, a clean battle, if you will, all the way to the end. Now they're battling for fourth instead of third, though.
The final lap of the season for Supersport Superstock 600. Here's your race leader, J.D. Beach. The #1 plate is going bye-bye if Garrett Gerloff can hold on to second spot. J.D. has done everything that he could. He said beginning at Barber, round number 6, he can't do anything but win races and let it all sort itself out behind him. And that's exactly what he's done. He's met his end of the bargain. But unfortunately for J.D. Beach, this race win won't be enough for the title, but it'll be enough for 8 wins in a row to wrap up the season as we await our newly crowned Supersport champion, number 31, Garrett Gerloff, comes across the line.
It's awesome.
Your national champion.
Can't be happier for the guy. He rode like a champion all year long, did incredibly well. There we go, the battle for fourth. It looks like Benny's gonna hold on.
Oh, so Benny Solis on the Honda holds on to 4th place. Cam Peterson, 0.065 of a second. 3rd place will go to Valentine DeBees after a massively spirited ride for the Frenchman. What a way to end his rookie season here in the U.S.
And you can see J.D. He's waving to his teammate. He wants to do a burnout with him. Great sportsmanship. What you'd expect from J.D. anyways. Both these guys, you know, J.D. is going to be happy for his teammate. And what a great way for the Graves Yamaha team to celebrate right now. This will be a poster somewhere.
This will definitely be a poster somewhere. So J.D. Beach with a nice burnout. And his last time with the #1 plate, at least for a season. But you got to be happy for the young man who resides in Philpott, Kentucky. His Texan teammate will take the championship and run that #1 plate in to next season. What we do know is that the announcement yesterday for the Monster Energy Graves Yamaha Superbike team, those 2 seats that they have available are full. So chances are that we will see Garrett Gerloff with the #1 plate return to the YES Graves Yamaha team, as well as we expect J.D. Beach to do the same. And we could resume this battle.
It was a great season. I mean, all these guys rode their hearts off. We saw 4 different race winners this year. And, you know, the thing was, this guy, not sure what Valentine's going to do, but he was definitely a welcome to our series. He rode tremendous. It was great to see him win at MotoAmerica. He was always fighting. Every time we've seen him on the podium, he's been just over the moon with being there. But this guy putting together 8 race wins at the end of the year. You know, you can't really look back. You can't really look back and go, well, what if this or what if that? Because if you do that, you know what would have happened if you could have changed a couple different things. The reality of it is, Greg, you've documented it, that they made a couple changes in the rules. JD didn't have the comfort that he had at the beginning of the year, that he had at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year. But, you know, the neat thing is that Graves Yamaha team were able to help him figure out what that was. And he's got a great group of guys down there around him. And I'm sure he's going to go to bed tonight and sleep okay.
Yeah, I think 8 race wins heading off to the season in a row will, even though he loses the #1 plate, I think he will definitely sleep well during the winter as they go into hibernation. As for Valentine DeBees, 11 podium finishes with a race win in his debut season in MotoAmerica. So J.D. Beach will come into victory lane as the winner of this one, but he will hand over the #1 plate to his teammate. We'll take a break here on BN Sports. MotoAmerica Supersport is done. We'll find out from them on the other side. When you read about this championship in the record books, you'll see that only 4 points separate YES Graves Yamaha riders, J.D. Beach and Garrett Gerloff. As for this race, well, the order was flipped as J.D. won his 8th in a row, finishing 9.7 seconds ahead of Garrett Gerloff. Valentine DeBees, a podium regular, 11 on the season, 18.6 seconds adrift. And Benny Solis, what a great ride for the Honda CBR 600 rider ahead of Cam Peterson. Bryce Prince, the first of our Super Stock 600 competitors, ahead of Richie Escalante, and Travis Wyman holds on to a podium finish. On down through the order, you see Anthony Mazziato, who was in the KTM RC Cup. He finished 11th in his 2nd race on a 600 in MotoAmerica. Nick McFadden, Mike Selby on back. Caroline Olsen there, finishing solidly in the top 20. Better result for her. Yesterday she finished 20th, so a good job there. And you know what? As we have one race remaining in this season, that race was absolutely spectacular on so many levels. JD Beach doing great work and doing what he had to do, but Garrett Gerloff put himself, Jason Pridmore, in a position to win this national championship. It doesn't matter if it's by 1 point or 100 points.
Doesn't matter.
He wrapped up his first title in what you could say is the second season for Garrett Gerloff where he is completely healthy. Let's go down to Christy Lee, who's got Garrett Gerloff trying to take off his helmet from what I understand. Come on, Garrett, get with it.
Garrett, what an outstanding season. 6 wins this season for you to claim the new championship. Garrett, what an awesome feeling for you and your team. I know you guys are celebrating.
It's not real. That was definitely the longest race of my life. Oh my gosh, I was like trying to be right there with JD, and then I saw like a gap building, and you have no idea how hard it is to keep your mind quiet when you're going that fast and got that much on the line. But I don't even know what to say. I can't thank my team enough for all the hard work they've put into this year and every season, and I mean believing in me, and I just gotta say that if you have a dream out there, chase it. Don't ever give up. You don't ever know when it's gonna turn around, when it's gonna be your day. And gosh, it feels good. I just gotta give it up to the team, my family, for all the sacrifices they made. And I just gotta give all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you.
That's your new champion, Garrett Gerloff.
Jason, you called it. Now, you've been through it before. You know how it is to win a national championship. I mean, it had to be a long race for him.
It's hard. It's, you know, I had a very similar race to this, and I don't like talking about what I did, but yeah, I had to run second the whole race, and it's very, very difficult because you're used to having a race in front of you, and Garrett there, he said it best. You don't know how hard it is. You think it's just so easy to go run around 23 laps and all you got to do is cruise to win a championship, but there's so many things that can go wrong. You don't want to let your guard down, and when he saw that gap creating, you know, he let JD go. And let's get on down to Christy. Maybe she can ask him about that big front end slide.
JD, 8 wins in a row for you with this, but tell us about the beginning of your race. You had some pretty big moments with some front tire slide. Maybe it looks like you lost a little grip.
You know what? I was just pushing hard. You know, I had to win the race to even have a chance at winning the championship again. And you know what? It was a good race for me. I mean, we still won by about 7 seconds, and we got to come back here again next year. And Garrett's gonna have to know that. So you know what? It's been a good year. Garrett and everybody else has rode great, and it's nice to have the number one on the bike, but to come back next year with my 95 on it, it's a bit closer to my heart. So I can't wait to run it again.
Hard-fought season. In the beginning, it was tough. Ended strong. 8 wins in a row. JD Beach.
All right, so the number 1 goes bye-bye, goes to Garrett Gerloff, but the old number 95 coming back on his bike. And you know what? I mean, you know, he could say what he says, but, you know, it's not easy losing a national championship. But if you're going to do it, why not do it 8 wins?
It's a lot easier when you're winning. You know, it's a lot easier when you win the race. So for him to finish first today and do the double again and continue the streak into next year is very good for him. Let's get back down to Christy.
Valentine, it looked like you struggled early on in the race, but you fought back hard to make it up to a 3rd spot, and that was a tough 3rd spot to capture.
Yeah, I was feeling really great in back of this Yamaha, and I was starting to push a little bit, and I had some big moment twice, and my feeling was like there is something wrong on the bike, so I have to check out, and so I check out, and I lost a lot of time, and then I figured out that there is nothing, and maybe something was wrong with my tire or whatever. I have no idea. So I say, okay, just try and go and push everything you have, and you will see until the end. And I saw that I were lucky with the lapper, and I can overtake these 2 guys in front of me and finish still 3rd. So that was tough. Yeah. My heart was stopping at the end because it was really hard, and so I cannot thank enough my team for this year. They make a great job. They always support me, and also to all American fans who support me this year. That was great. I want to come back next year for sure now.
Valentine DeBees put up a big fight for 3rd place finish.
There you go. He wants to come back next year as he has the French flag and the American flag on that helmet. So Valentino DeBees, a great job this season. And there you go. The story is, Jason, you know, I'm sure you've been through it before. It just didn't feel right to him, so he decided to roll out and make sure that everything was okay, and that was the gap.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's your life on the line, so you and others on the line. So you want to make sure that you don't have an oil leak, you don't have something going wrong with the bike. But we definitely saw him slow itself down. Never gave up, though. And we see Benny Solis, Cameron Peterson there in the point standings. They fought all day today. But Garrett Gerloff, our champion, J.D. Beach, Valentino DeBees, rounds out third. Joe Roberts, Bryce Prince, Dakota Mola, Travis Wyman, rounding out our top 9. I think all 3 of those guys will be out of this class. Not sure, but I believe Bryce and all of them will be out. Richie Escalante, too, finishing 10th. Great job by him this year, considering he didn't get to do a full year. Camacho, Connor Blevins, Nick McFadden, who rode tremendous this year too. Michael Gilbert had a win in Virginia. Jason Aguilar struggled these last 2 days. He's got a really badly hurt foot. Too bad to see him pull in. Andy DeBrino, another podium finisher this year. Deion Campbell didn't quite get through the end of that race. Saw them picking up his bike. But all the way back down through all these guys, great to see so many of them finish the year strong.
2 races in the books for Anthony Mazziato, the third. Keep an eye on that young rider as he advances through MotoAmerica. Let's take a look at how this race unfolded. It got a good launch.
Just a carbon copy of yesterday. J.D. Beach and Garrett Gerloff on those Graves Yamahas just jumped out so quickly. Didn't give the rest of the field a chance. And we can see it. I can see now Escalante got shuffled back pretty early there, Greg. Just looking at our recap here. But those 2 Yamahas out front just ran away. And you can see here, this is what I was talking about. That little bit of movement there, losing the front. And then again here, just getting on the gas just a little bit early. And but JD was able to escape both those kind of early incidents and keep it going. And this was the battle for third at the time between Cameron Peterson and Benny Solis. All the while, you see Bryce Prince back there, and look at how far back Valentino DeBees was. In his pre-race, in his post-race comments just now, we heard him say that traffic definitely played an advantage for him. Because these 2 guys, Cameron Peterson and Benny, they were going back and forth, back and forth. We saw there, Valentine made the pass in the background there. Garrett Gerloff coming through these S's, big tank slapper. You know, those are scary too, because now he's got to head off into turn 1. But it was all this guy here, J.D. Beach, getting up on the tank, celebrating his number 1 or his victory today, looking at that number 1 plate over the front for the last time until next year. But this guy, it's all about Garrett Gerloff and what a great season he's had.
YS Graves Yamaha, Garrett Gerloff. That's who will be wearing the number 1 plate next season in the Supersport Superstock 600 class. Hope you're getting used to that name, because he is a bright young talent. One of those riders that, depending on breaks that he gets over the course of the next couple of years and continues this race pace, might head off to Europe and represent the United States. We've seen a rider from Texas do that for us before.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
Couple of them.
Colin Edwards comes to mind.
Evan Schwantz, Benny Spees. So
Yeah.
we got a few Texans for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, look at your podium. You can see right there with the T-shirt on and the number 1 plate in his hand. That is Garrett Gerloff. He's so funny, man. We don't see him smile very much, and we talked about it all year long. He just didn't talk about the championship, but we know that, well, his brain got the better of him in that race, as he just said it was difficult to concentrate. So J.D. Beach stands on top of the podium for the final Supersport Superstock 600 race of 2016. It's the Yamaha Superbike Championship of Jersey, and we are not even close to being done here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, so don't go anywhere. Well, Supersport Superstock 600 race, well, the season is over, and it was our second visit to New Jersey Motorsports Park, where we just crowned a national champion. We're waiting for the Superstock 600 riders to become available so we can find out how that race went. Bryce Prince, of course, your winner with Richie Escalante and Travis Wyman. Those are your podium picks. Don't forget to check out beinsports.com. It has all great information about what's going on in the network. And, of course, follow us on Twitter. It's at beinsportsusa. You can tag us in there as well. If you're watching, take a picture of your TV and tell us what you're doing. So, folks, hashtag MotoAmerica finale. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to squeeze another one in really quickly, and then we're going to get back down to winner's circle and hear from the Superstock 600 podium. That ought to be fun. back at New Jersey Motorsports Park. 600 Super Stock had their own race inside of a race, and they had their own podium, and our own Christy Lee is down with one of the podium finishers now.
Travis Wyman, that was a battle royale to take a third-place finish in Superstock 600. Congrats on the podium.
Thank you. Yeah, we got off to a good start and battled with Momola the whole race, and it was coming down to the last few laps, and unfortunately got collected with another rider, and I was able to get on by. And I mean, we just pushed hard from the start, and I knew he was there the whole time. And to come from where we were yesterday to today and get a podium and end the year on a good note, it's a win for us. I owe it all to the team, so it's a good day.
That's your third-place finisher, Travis Wyman.
All right, congratulations to Travis there. He finishes 8th overall, obviously 3rd in Superstock 600 with a very competitive lap time. That Millennium Technologies R6 right there doing great work. Number 24, Wyman. That's a good way to finish off the season for Wyman, I think. You know, he'll be happy with that podium finish and definitely move on. As we move on now to a second-place finisher who's down in victory lane with Christy.
On the podium, Richie Escalante. That was a difficult race to get this second-place finish. Tell us about it.
Yes, I'm very happy. This weekend is very hard. Today more. I good start. I push. But I one mistake in the first corner. And yeah, I'm happy to finish second. This year is so hard with my knee. And yeah, happy thanks to HB Racing, me and Yamaha Speed Show for support me this year. And we will see next year.
Coming back strong after a big injury early in the season, Richie Escalante taking second.
So the knee injury for the Mexican rider, and Richie Escalante, Jason, is a rider that you've got to keep your eye on, and because he is an absolute brilliant talent, and he's great to have here in MotoAmerica. The points he's been able to collect since he came back. I mean, he could barely even walk when he came back to racing.
He was riding, and it was easier than walking, and I love the kid. And nobody talks about him, and you know, when I say nobody talks about him, we should be talking about this guy more because he is an incredible rider, and what he persevered and came through this year. And like I said, I love how he rides, I like how he sits on the bike, I like how he does a lot of things. And he knows how to win. That's the main thing. He knows how to win. And let's get down to a guy who did a lot of winning himself this year, huh, Christy?
Champion, our reigning MotoAmerica Superstock 600 champion at that, Bryce Prince. Why not take another win here at New Jersey Motorsports Park?
Yeah, it's been a really good year for us. We wrapped up our 9th win, and I was really pushing hard. I wanted nothing more but to win the last race of the season, finish out on top, and after getting the championship and being on the podium every race but one is really good. Richie and all those guys were running really hard, and I pushed myself a lot the entire race, a little bit more than I did the first race, and just really stoked we were able to bring home a win in the last race. I just can't thank my whole Tuned Racing, Riders Discount, Quicksilver Power Sports Lubricants crew enough, and Chuck Graves and Yamaha and all those guys for supporting us this whole year, and we're finally on top of our game, and we're looking forward to see what next year has in store.
That's your Superstock 600 champion and today's race winner.
All right, there's still more to come here from New Jersey Motorsports Park, but here is another look at your 2016 champions. Down the straightaway to the checkered flag, and the win goes to Garrett Gerloff. As he gets on the gas and head towards the checkered flag, a stand-up wheelie for number 31, Garrett Gerloff on his YES Graves Yamaha.